Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Well. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. Welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel on this Monday, the 12th of August, 2024. Oh, I just realized I had to do something here. That's weird. I gotta fix that. So anyway, happy Monday. It's it's a day. It's another day in the week, and we are here to reminisce about what happened over the weekend. Let's just end that right now. And talk about things that happen. Talk about those things. You know what I mean? Now, one of the things that we'll get into just briefly today is the Olympics. Because last night, Lady Boomer and I spent the day with our daughter and our granddaughters and hung out all day. And then on the way home, we stopped to have an adult beverage and some an appetizer at one of our favorite Mexican restaurants. And I looked up on the TV and I was like, oh, snap. This is the closing ceremony of the Olympics, which I barely paid attention to over the last 2 weeks. I mean, I saw certain things that, saw that both the men's and the women's basketball team won gold. The women just barely. I mean, if that girl, I will talk about it in a minute, but there's a girl that she made a last second shot, and if her foot wasn't on the 3-point line, they would have tied it up and maybe come off to a victory for France. But no, the Americans won those where they were expected to. Interesting in some of the track and field, because there were some winners from other countries that I thought was pretty cool, even though I always root for the Americans. I always root for the Americans, okay? I just do, because that's what you do. And I don't complain when, if some American does something stupid, I don't care. They're still Americans, and I'm going to root for them in the Olympics. But I was surprised to look up at the screen and see that it was the closing ceremonies, and I hadn't watched even a minute of the Olympics on purpose. I did see things when we were in establishments when it was on, but I saw news on X, but I didn't realize it was already over. So that's a big topic today, plus a bunch of other stuff. Political stuff, of course. J.D. Vance was out on the talk show circuit or whatever, and Donald Trump tweeted some dumb shit that I'm going to call him out on because it's dumb. Unfortunately, they are being derailed by stupid stuff and allowing the media to derail them. They're talking about the wrong things. Okay, they're talking about things that don't freaking matter. And as I said last week, the only things that matter this presidential race and all public office races right now there's three things. Policy, and policy. Stop talking about stuff that don't matter. But there is, I believe, a concerted effort to not allow us to talk about things that matter. I think there is. And I think it doesn't help that Donald Trump tends to go off on tangents. And again, burden her with what has been before we have to find out what can be. I don't want to know what no can be. So we'll get into that more. Of course, as I do every show, I'm going to say good morning to everybody before we get into it. Plus, I got to fix this. What should I call this goal here? The hole here. The hole in the pocket goal. We'll do we're gonna just this to the end of the month. We'll try this. Okay, so they're gonna make it 300 and we're gonna end 09 01 224. There we go. We're gonna try to set the goal for $300 by the end of the month. We'll see what we can do. If you can help us reach that goal, that'd be great, because we got a whole bunch of stuff we got to get caught up on. So anyway, happy Monday. Let's get into the show a little bit. First, let's say hi to everybody. First in the chat today is Mr. Attack Alpaca. Whoa! Congratulations, Johnny on the spot. Also, good morning, Advocatus Diabli, of course. And Zed the Snarky, Mike Savage, Blarg. Wait a minute. Is that all that's here? And Spidey Man. What the bloody hell? Are people just, is it because I actually started the show on time? Is that what it is? Wow. I know that throws people off, but I guess it is what it is. Did I put this out on X? Yes, I did. I put it out on X too. Or did I? Yes, there it is. I did put this out. I don't know what's going on. Good morning, Rick Ashbringer. Just woke up. Oh, see, I forget. It's a morning show. Some people just get up at this time of day. Some people are in other places where this is early. Some people are in other places where this is late. Yes, Mike Savage, the Olympics are over. Thank God. All right. This is so weird. By the way, I just want to remind you too, whenever you hear the Democrats use the word democracy, understand their meaning is our people in power. Okay, just substitute those words every time. So let's get into the show, because I want to start. Let's start with what's trending. Most of the Olympic stuff is trending because the closing ceremonies were last night. And what did I do there? Did I accidentally? Oh, I did. Let's fix this. I had the main topic sitting up here. Closing ceremonies were. Hello, Maddie. What's up? The closing ceremonies to the Olympics were last night, and like I said, we hadn't really paid attention to the Olympics. Oh, first day of school is trending? Really? Monday Mood, Tom Sawyer Island. I don't know that Time Magazine's trending. I know why Time Magazine's trending. We'll add that one in too, because Time Magazine. Let's start with that, because I didn't even see the topic, but I know why it's trending. Hello, Jonathan Peterson. Nice to have you here live, my friend. Time Magazine's because they have added Ms. Kamala Harris to the cover of Time Magazine. Just a hagiography of her moment, a story by Charlotte Alter. Look, as Elon Musk says, oh, this is not Elon Musk, looking like a propaganda poster. It's funny because there's a New York Post cover too. On here, it's her moment on New York Post, chameleon, chameleon. You come and go, more like he comes and goes. Did I say that out loud? Holy shit. I got to stop it. Because I'm making it about shit that don't matter. Worry about our policy. Here's interesting. The Milwaukee Catholic never won a primary. In fact, the first to drop out in 19, avoids speaking even to friendly media today. No serious accomplishments as a senator. Murky rise to power in California. Feckless as a border czar. And unpopular as BP. But boy, it's her time, baby. And look, remember, Time Magazine is the news outlet that celebrated the loss of Donald Trump and the win of Joe Biden in 2020 by saying, we did it. The media did their job. We got someone, got Trump out of office. That was the media's job, not to just call balls and strikes, but to get Trump out of office. And we all got together and did it right by, suppressing the good news of Trump and making all the bad news about him, and then not having to force Joe to talk to anybody. Yeah, we did it. Well, Time Magazine's at it again. And so if it were FTG Friday or Thursday, whatever day I do, what day do I do FTGs? That's Thursdays, right? Well, that's what that Time Magazine would be getting, the big FTG right now. Good morning, Tex AG 007. I've decided to soften that a bit. All right, so there you go. That's why Time Magazine is trending. Let me see if I can find, I don't know what happened to closing ceremonies was a topic, and now it's gone. It's gone. What the hell? Because I want to ask a question. Oh, Truth Social's trending now. Oh my gosh, all kinds of things. They've changed a whole lot of stuff here. Oh, I know why. Oh, my goodness. Well, we might have to just, we'll have to just go and do that at the end, because there's a whole bunch of new stuff. But I wanted to, the closing ceremony at Olympics. What the hell was that? Now, one thing about me watching the closing ceremonies of the Olympics in a bar, we were sitting at the bar and having an appetizer and a couple of margaritas at one of our favorite Mexican spots, is that the sound wasn't on. So all we saw, let me see. I gotta find it. I really do. I apologize. I had it set up here, and I get it. This is probably not the most important thing, but it. Oh, for fuck's sake! Here we go. There we go. There it is. I knew it was here somewhere. As we're watching this weird thing going on in the closing ceremonies, I was trying to figure out. Well, no, the cool thing was the Tom Cruise thing. I thought that was kind of cool, but that thing that came out, that golden metal man thing that they had going on. This guy right here. This. And I was like, we're watching it. We're like, okay, what the hell are they going with? What the hell are they going with this thing? And apparently there was a name for it. And so here's an article about it. Closing ceremony. Golden Voyager meets Goddess of Victory. And I'm like, is that what this thing is? A Golden Voyager? At the closing ceremony of the 2024 Olympics, the otherworldly, that's understatement. Golden Voyager is on a quest through a dystopian future. He encounters Nike, the goddess of victory, as the Olympic spirit is awakened. So, is there more? Oh gosh, there's more at NBCOlympics.com. Let's see what this says. Okay, ceremony. Golden Voyager meets Goddess of Victory. Oh, that's it. That was the article. I loathe to actually show this because the Olympic committees or whatever, they've been striking everybody. So I'm not going to show it. But it was just some weird stuff. But the cool things that were happening during the closing ceremony. One, they did this little Tom Cruise bit, right? they had a kind of a mission impossible for him to go take the Olympic flag, because the next Olympics are in Los Angeles, so he was supposed to take the Olympic flag to Los Angeles. So they did this cool little sequence of him riding a motorcycle with a flag and then getting onto a plane and jumping off the roof here. Here's the part where I guess he's jumping off in France. And apparently some woman tried to make out with him while he was doing this thing, but that was, some fan or something. So anyway, and since he does his own stunts, apparently he jumps off this height. There he goes. He's just there he goes. Tom Cruise at his finest. And they had Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, former congresswoman, get the flag and shit. And so that was a cool sequence. Also related to the Olympics, LA 28, because the Olympics are going to be in Los Angeles, a little bit in Los Angeles, California. And I hear, where's the, no, mute, stop, mute. There we go. So here he is. This is this little sequence they did. Tom Cruise riding through Paris with the Olympic flag. Obviously that was taped. And then they take him, he gets on, let's see, I'll just fast forwards onto a plane. Hollywood. So there you go. It was actually a cool sequence. In fact, if you paid attention to the opening ceremonies and compared that to what the Americans did to prep for Tom Cruise bringing the Olympic flag, I thought to myself, thank God it's not in France again. So there you go. So that's cool. Couple of highlights from the Olympics, and one, I guess LeBron James won the MVP of the Olympic Games, which he really shouldn't have. It should have been Steph Curry, because Steph Curry saved our butts twice. Well, not saved our butts, but really brought it on. I mean, LeBron got us there, but Steph Curry got us the gold. But apparently people are mad about LeBron James, and he's getting ready to go to a victory party for the Americans, and apparently people are upset because he told some kid to get the fuck away from him. So here it is. LeBron's walking through, and some kid wants to say hi, and LeBron's like, "Get back! I told you, get
make
back!"
Space, guys, for King. Make space.
So anyway,
congratulations.
So don't talk to LeBron James after a victory, because he's just not. He ain't having it. So people are pissed at LeBron James for kind of being a jerk to the kid. I don't know. It's a mix. It's a two-edged sword, right? LeBron has no idea what the kid wants. I mean, obviously he's just there as a fan, and I'd have just given a high five and said, "Thanks, kid," and kept going. But you never know. So people who are into celebrities are concerned about their safety, and who knows what the kid might have had a pen or something that he could have stabbed LeBron with. But no, the kid, I mean, clearly the kid had nothing in his hands. He just wanted to get a high five or whatever, some French kid. So now we can complain about Americans being rude to the French. There we go. Gabby Williams is also trending. Gabby Williams is the French, apparently expat basketball star who almost took the women's championship game into overtime. Again, we're going to do this without sound, but almost took the women in overtime. This is the France-USA game in the last seconds. Gabby before, but Gabby Williams, the gold medal game, almost tied the game to make it go in overtime, but almost. Unfortunately, this was not horseshoes or hand grenades. So there you go. And then finally, the most celebrated athlete of the Olympic Games this year. A very unlikely hero, and just dazzled the world with her brilliance. And that would be none other than Raygun. Raygun, the Australian breakdancing champion who made it to the Olympics with dazzling moves like this. And it's not so much that Raygun was a terrible breakdancer. I'm sorry, Rockhopper. I'm blaming you. I'm blaming you, Rockhopper, for this. How this woman made it into any breakdancing competition anywhere in the world, including Australia, because I saw the finals of that she won to go to the Olympics, and the dude she was going against was much better. But there is an explanation of why Ray Gun is being ridiculed. And I'll take you to I believe it's the Australian Ministry of Athletics or someone explaining why Ray Gun.
What I can say is that
wait. There's a reason Ray Gun and her dancing prowess is being criticized. And this is Ann Mears. I don't know if she's from the Ministry of Athletics or something in Australia. And here's why Reagan is being critical. By the way, good morning, JB and Rockhopper and Green Badger Outdoors and everyone else who's made it this morning. Here we go. Here's why she was being criticized.
What I can say is that I love Rachel, and I think that what has occurred on social media with trolls and keyboard warriors and taking those comments and giving them airtime has been...
Okay, I'm gonna let you finish, but I have something to say here, Anna.
Really disappointing. If you don't know Rachel's story, in 2008, she was locked in a room crying, being involved in a male-dominated sport as the only woman, and it took great courage for her to continue on and fight for her opportunity to participate in a sport that she loved. And that got her to winning the Olympic qualifying event to be here in Paris. She is the best break dancer, female, that we have for Australia.
Don't care. Don't care. She was terrible.
Now you look at the history of what we have had as women athletes has faced in terms of criticism, belittlement, judgment, criticism, and simple comments like they shouldn't be there.
Shouldn't be there because she sucks.
Leading into Paris 1924, Australia sent a team of 37 athletes. None were women.
Don't care.
100 years later, we have 256 women represented here.
Guess what? And all the rest of the women from the Australian contingent are marvelous athletes and good at their craft and probably won a competition that honestly they won a competition that made them worthy of being Olympians. Rachel, aka Ray Gun, not so much. And guess what? There were other women competing in the Olympic breakdancing competition that were good at it. This person should have never been in it. But let's see it. But of course, this is sexism. It's not the fact that Ray Gun sucked.
And Ray Gun is an absolutely loved member of this Olympic team.
Okay. She may be the nicest woman on the planet. She may, she may give everyone moral support and warm fuzzies. But nobody was complaining about Ray Gun because of sexism. They were saying Aussies trolling the IOC. They must have been. I think it had to be a troll. This could not be real. I'm sorry. This could not be real. This is, to give you an example. So there she is again. I get it. She tried to strike poses, but this was embarrassing. It's an insult to the art of breakdancing. Now, I'm going to scroll back in this topic a little bit because there are, like, for example, here's, let's see, find somebody who was good at it. Oh, here. Now, look. Now, this, and I don't know where this dude is from. I have no idea. We got to keep the music off. But look, watch this dude. Now, this dude actually look at that. He's like, he's doing that. Look at that. I mean, he's holding that head spin and changing positions and whatever. I mean, look at that. You know, gymnastics on mats. I'm telling you. So, LL she did the hippity hop. She did, I don't know what everything she was doing was called, but my God. And it's funny because, okay, wait, this is good too. Apparently, she had won an award.
The winner of Sports Star of the Year is Rachel Gunn.
Wait, Sports what? This is some Australia award. This is what?
The winner of Sports Star of the Year is...
Winner of Sports Star of the Year in Australia. Now, I know there are some rugby players, some basketball players, some track and field people. There's all kinds of swimmers. The swimmers, there's all kinds of Australian athletes that are phenomenal. And she was the Sports Star of the Year.
Is Rachel Gunn.
Oh. This can't be real.
Wowzers. Thank you so much. I think it is just so cool that a breaker has won Sports Star of the Year. Like, that's just...
It has to be a joke. Rockhopper, is this a joke? Please. Is this a joke? Good morning, number one. Please tell me this is a joke. Like, this is just a massive troll on the world.
A dancer has won it. What? Yeah, no, thank you so much, Pedestrian TV, for this award. It's such an honor. I do want to take a moment.
Okay, it wasn't voted on by athletes, apparently. It's voted on by I don't know, the TV people. She got a PhD in cultural movement and wrote the qualifications for Aussie breakdancers and still sucked. Yes, Maddie, that is true. Everything you just said is true.
So just to thank the pioneers of this dance form that I'm so lucky to be able to do, the African American and Puerto Rican kids that created this form in the...
Wait, Puerto Rican kids? What? Oh, maybe she's thinking of, there's some hip hop that some Puerto Ricans in New York City were credited with, mostly African American kids, but whatever. This is an African American art form.
70s? Yeah. And then all the people around the world that have kept the form alive in all those years that people thought breaking was dead, and particularly the Australian scene.
Particularly the Australian scene, which, if she's the champion, the Australian scene needs to work. Because you know what? Like over in Asia, like in Japan especially, I know there's a lot in Japan they have some breaking contests, and I'm not sure if it's South Korea maybe, where it's like, big time right now. And certainly there are Americans who still participate in this art form in the coasts mostly. But I can't even listen to her. Look, if you want to hear the rest of this, you are more than welcome to go into the thread. I'll have all the links in the chat at the end of the show and in the description. So, Morgan Freeman is trending. Now, of course, anytime a celebrity of age trends, the number one gift that pops up is, I saw Morgan Freeman trending. Don't y'all do that to me. Y'all know Morgan Freeman is not dead. But I'm not 100% sure why Morgan Freeman is trending, except for the fact that Vivek mentioned him on Saturday, maybe. Someone here, David Green, said once in a while Vivek hits the nail on the head. This is one such time. As Morgan Freeman said years ago, the best thing we can do to defeat racism is to stop talking about it so much. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think we've emphasized race way too much on too many things. And it seems like the trend is that we want to talk about it more and more when, sometimes we just need I don't want people to be colorblind. Okay. Colorblind is kind of a dumb concept because you see what you see. You cannot be colorblind, but you can certainly make it unimportant. That's what I think most people, when they say they would like to see, color blindness as far as race goes, they don't necessarily mean that you don't ever see color. It just means that it's unimportant. It's nothing that you did or as an accomplishment, nor is it anything that you did to, to yourself. It's just, it exists, and it should have no consequence on how you feel or treat people. And you should just, it means nothing. Every individual is different and has special in their own way and has their own quirks and their own attributes that you need to judge them on who they are and not what they look like or what they are or whatever. So, good morning, Tyler F. How you doing, brother? Nice to see you. Insomnible Nation's in the house. Hi. So anyway, but someone's putting breaking. Hollywood legend Morgan Freeman just said, "I detest Black History Month. My history is American history." He didn't just say that. He said that like 7, 8 years ago or 10 years ago. But if you didn't know Morgan Freeman before he started, doing movies in the 90s, also remember that he was back. Well, I don't know what this is from. I remember Morgan Freeman when he was on the Electric Company back in the late 60s, early 70s, because I was a little tyke then, and there was this guy named Morgan on there, and he was one of the cool guys on the Electric Company. So there you go. All right, let's move on. But so I don't know why he's trending though, but everyone's talking about Morgan Freeman today. He was trending this morning for some odd reason. Nobody knows. By the way, I'd like to remind you, as I sit here today, that the Morning Night Live is brought to you by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. If you haven't shared this stream yet, why? Share the stream somewhere. Also, hit the like button while you're here. I mean, I know you like it. You're here, or you're here for some reason. And also, you can sponsor the show by hitting that little the link over there where it says Johnny Boober Tech Streamlabs Superstar Sponsor Link. That's the best place to do super chats because, then you're not giving as much to the... Oh, shoot. It reminds me. Well, anyway, sponsor the show. You can do super chats through YouTube or through Streamlabs or Venmo Cash App in the description of this video. And I didn't put up a link for this, but Susan, what's her name? Wojcicki? The former CEO of YouTube, she passed away over the weekend, and that is that photo. That's from the Electric Company. Okay, cool. Yeah, Susan Wojcicki, or whatever her name is, she passed away over the weekend, and I saw a lot of people, when people die that you don't like, and you're like, my favorite Canadian Jaeger pony's here. When you see. We're being kind of rude. I mean, just, saying shitty things about her. And it's like, look, I didn't like how she ran YouTube. I don't agree with her politically. I don't, whatever. But the woman has family, loved ones, friends, or whatever. And despite my disagreements with her management style and her choices that she made as far as YouTube goes, I still hope that, her family and friends are comforted in the good memories that they have of her. Especially dying. I think she died from some kind of cancer that she'd been battling. And my motto is don't speak ill of the dead. So I'm not going to today. I'm just going to say, like I said, I hope her family find comfort in their good memories of her. And may she rest in peace. So that's all I got to say about that. Also, today's coffee is brought to you by Ken's House of Pancakes in Hilo, Hawaii. If you're ever in Hawaii, which you may or may not ever be, but if you're ever in Hawaii and you're on the Big Island, one of the best breakfast spots we found when we were there was Ken's House of Pancakes. Now, I went there and I had a Moco Loco, which is kind of a Hawaiian favorite. It was something, some football team or something went into a restaurant and they just made something up and they call it a Moco Loco. So it's rice and a hamburger patty and an egg with gravy. And I saw it on the menu and I'm like, what the hell is that? And he goes, oh, that's a Hawaiian thing. And I'm like, okay, I'll have one. And that was actually very good. So if you want a really good Moco Loco, you go to Ken's House of Pancake in Hilo. And also, Hilo is one of the greatest places in the world to see a sunrise. It's beautiful on the it's, rainforest side of the island. You go down in the bay and just sit there and watch the sunrise over the ocean, and it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous place. So there you go. Ken's House of Pancakes. All right. Anyone else show up? Special Cat Ass is in the house too, and the number 9. Yes, brought to you by the letter number 9. Let's move on. People, oh God, people are still talking about Tim Walz's military service and stolen valor, whatever. That's still trending. I wish we could get off this topic too. I get it. This is a big deal to military people, but not so much to civilians. Okay, and so the people only really truly understand it are military people, and people has the allegation that he made these false claims, which some of his claims were false, and I get it. Look, this is not the topic we need to keep focusing on. Again, policy, but here we are again. Walz controversy over military service. This is a Grok-generated topic. Tim Walz, the Democratic vice presidential nominee, faces allegations of stolen valor and dishonesty regarding his military service. Critics claim that he falsely claimed that he served in Bagram Air Base in Iraq, which I don't know if he... Okay, something they wrote about him made it sound like that, but this is the shot, and there's also a chaser to this. And Bagram, by the way, is not in Iraq. It's in Afghanistan, but he said Bagram Air Base in Iraq, which is actually in Afghanistan, and he misrepresented his military rank, which he kind of has. The highest rank he achieved was a certain rank, but then he got demoted because he didn't finish the requirements for the rank. So most military people, when they leave service, would not use that rank. They would say the rank that they finished in, or actually completed all the requirements for that rank, because he was a conditional command something sergeant, but since he quit and did not complete the training, they demoted him for his retirement to just master sergeant. But look, he was still in there 24 years as a master sergeant. I think this is a dumb line of attack. It's an unnecessary one. There are so many things that Tim Walz has signed in my state of Minnesota that just overwhelms this stupidity and would make most of the country go, what the actual F? How about talking about some of the bills he signed in Minnesota that are ridiculous? That's what you need to do. And same with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is a San Francisco liberal. And if you want California-style government as your national government, fine, vote for Kamala Harris. But holy shit, we don't want that. And all you have to do is highlight that. Policy. So, in this topic, supporters argue that these accusations are politically motivated. Well, yeah, duh, it's politics. So it is a dirty business. But look, this is just a loser of a topic. And unfortunately, much of the Trump campaign is focused on shit that don't matter. Okay? Crowd size is a dumb fucking thing to talk about. When you got Kamala Harris as your presidential nominee, holy shit, some of the things she's done and said in her past that are policy related should make people run. So anyway, a lot of people are focused on this 9/11 anniversary speech, where he claimed to have stood one night in the dark of night at Bagram Air Base in Iraq and watched American soldiers' bodies being loaded onto a plane. Okay, so this is how it was written. Now, this is not actually what he said, but I'm going to show you how it's written here. In the years after that classroom, I had the privilege of serving in this state's National Guard. I stood one night in the dark of night on the tarmac at Bagram Air Base in Iraq and watched the military ramp ceremony, a soldier's body being loaded onto a plane to be returned home. If you've seen it, you don't leave the same. Makes you wonder, what are we doing? What are we trying to get to? And then watching all of you have been, the confusing last few weeks with the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan. So this is on the 9/11 ceremony in 2021. And now, first of all, this is a bit of a misquote. Sorry, Marty, but the stolen valor for those connected to the military is the single biggest cross-cutting topic. No, I said that. To military people, absolutely. This is important. But the general public, all they see is, oh, well, he was in there for 24 years and whatever, and this is just a little slip up. To military people, absolutely, this is bad. This is bad. So I'm not, yeah, but even this, though, they misquote him a little bit here, because that's not how the what he said goes. But anyway, and apparently, oh, someone says rumors are circulating of Tim Walz's resignation. Bullshit, that ain't happening. Jap Sobiak hearing Team Kamala is talking about how Walz rapidly changing his overall demeanor as a person. He's snapping at longtime aides for small things, becoming totally disagreeable. I don't know. I don't know what that means. But so they have, where is it? This is where he supposedly misspoke. And I don't know, is this the 9/11? Let me see here again.
Thank Jerry and thank all members of the Post here for your gracious invitation and for welcoming us in here. I do sit on the Veterans Affairs Committee, and we're going to spend some time today, as much as you need, updating you on information on what's happening with veterans care, where the legislation is moving, but most importantly, I'm here to listen as you tell me on areas that we need to make adjustments to, and then I can take your voice back to Congress. I have a unique privilege in Congress, is that by being elected from this district and being a retired command sergeant major.
Okay, there again, right there. He knows that he is not a retired command sergeant major. He knows that he was demoted when he retired because he did not complete the requirements to be a command sergeant major, nor did he never an acting command sergeant major in a theater. Okay, I don't mean like the Orpheum. You know what I mean? In the field. Okay. So he's done this more than once, and he knows damn well he was not a command sergeant major when he retired. Okay, he got a stripe taken away.
The highest ranking enlisted soldier to ever serve in Congress since the beginning of this nation. And I said, for me, it's not a sense of pride for me, it's a sense of responsibility, because when the veterans of foreign wars testified in front of Congress, afterwards the commander came up to me and he said, it's about damn time that Congress got a sergeant major.
Now notice he even messed that up, because he said, he called himself a sergeant major this time. But he's not. So he's not a veteran of foreign war. Okay. Let's see if we can find more here. 3 days ago, they told you Republicans were lying in their attack on Tim Walz for alleged stolen valor. Today, they admit Walz lied, but they claim he misspoke. He misspoke about his own memory of his own life. These motherfuckers, as much as you hate them, you don't hate them enough. So here it is. Harris campaign says Walz misspoke in a comment about his military service. The Democratic vice presidential nominee has come under attack from Republicans who suggested he overstated his military record and avoided combat. Okay, which he clearly has done. Walz misspoke. Okay, now he misspoke in saying he served in war, according to the campaign. So anyway, you see Dana Bash is on that byline, and Dana Bash is trending because Dana Bash interviewed J.D. Vance over the weekend on this very subject. And again, it doesn't help Republicans necessarily stay on this subject. But if Dana Bash is going to stay on this subject, well, then maybe J.D. Vance is the right person to ask about it. So here we go. Let's watch some of this interview with J.D. Vance. This is a portion of the interview on This is CNN.
Dana, I criticized his lying about his own record, okay? This is a guy who...
Not about his service, but lying about his record. That's very important.
Captured on video saying, I carried a gun in war. He never went to war. This is a guy who's been captured on video. As other people say, he's an Afghanistan veteran. He's a veteran of a war, nodding along in agreement instead of saying, no, I did serve my country and I did it honorably, but I never went to a war zone. I'm not criticizing Tim Walz's service.
Ding.
I'm criticizing the fact that he lied about his service for political gain, Dana. You've now asked me 3 questions about comments that I made 3 years ago. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she supported policies that opened the American southern border. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she lied to the American people about Joe Biden's mental facility for the office. You are interviewing me, Dana, because I respect the American people enough to sit down for an interview.
I appreciate that.
Kamala Harris has been the nominee for 3 weeks. She hasn't sat down for a real interview.
Believe me, we are asking.
We're asking, though. We know, but we're asking.
But the point is, Dana, you've got me for 15 minutes or however long you have me. We should be talking about public policies that matter. How are we going to lower inflation? How are we going to reduce the cost of food and housing? How are we going to close down that southern border? We've talked so little about that. We've talked a lot more about a sarcastic remark I made 3 years ago. I think we should talk about the issues that most Americans care. Kamala Harris is whatever she says she is.
Now, unfortunately, they cut out that part because, they do. Dana Bash does mention him changing his mind about Donald Trump. But you know what? I can relate to changing your mind about Donald Trump. I changed my mind about Donald Trump. Although I'm not thrilled with him going off on the tangents he's been going off lately. But anyway.
He is. But I believe importantly that President Trump is right that she's a chameleon. She pretends to be one thing in front of one audience. She pretends to be something different in front of another audience. Look, Dana, she's not running a political campaign. She's running a movie. She only speaks to voters behind a teleprompter. Everything is scripted. She doesn't have her policy positions out there. She hasn't answered why she wanted to ban fracking, but now she doesn't. She wanted to fund police, but now she doesn't. She wanted to open the border, but now she doesn't. She should have to answer for why she presents a different set of policies to one audience and a different set of policies to another audience. And I think that's what President Trump is getting at. This is a fundamentally fake person. She's different depending on who she's in front of. Dana, criticize people.
Okay, obviously they cut out other questions she asked, but so I'm going to switch up here. But anyway, I think he...
A month before the
National
Guard even announced that it was possible.
Now here, let's see. Oh, here's part of this too.
And on the question of when he left the National Guard, he filed his election paperwork February 10th, 2005. That was a month before the National Guard even announced that it was possible.
Nope, they were told on December 2004. They were told before he filed for his retirement. Also, here's something that's confusing to me, okay? So he re-upped, I think he re-upped for a 6-year commitment. And he was, I think, just barely under or just barely over 2 years into that commitment. And then he puts in the retirement papers. He takes a position as a provisional command sergeant major, pending all the training being completed, which is also, I believe, a 4-year commitment. And then when they get word that he might be deployed, he decides to retire. Why would you take commitment as a higher rank if you're going to retire? Well, because he's running for Congress. He was hoping to have that higher rank when he goes to Congress to be the highest ranking congressional person that ever did run for Congress, right? Highest ranking enlisted person. But then again, he reneged on that commitment. Now, look, while it's like I say, it's to civilians, this doesn't mean much. And I think they should be talking about policy, but I do understand why this is controversial to military people. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get to here. So anyway, but what she just said is false, because they found out in December 2004 that he was that their unit would be deployed eventually.
That they would deploy to Iraq, and it ended up being 2 months. He retired 2 months before they actually got the paperwork.
But on CNN last night, Dana, one of the people who was actually in charge of him said they knew they were going to deploy to Iraq in February of 2004, fall of 2004. So he knew he was going to Iraq. He decided to quit, to retire, whatever word you want to use.
Retire.
Because he wanted to run for Congress. He lied about that. He said that when he decided to retire, he did not know that he was going to Iraq. That is another untruth, as even his senior military officer said.
Okay, so that's that. So anyway, this is trending. Bagram's trending because, Bagram, Iraq is actually Afghanistan. Now, there is one thing, though. There is a little bit something different here that it's interesting because he said something different. Now, let's check this one here. I don't know if the written...
The years that happened after that classroom.
The transcript that's on, that people are copying, it's from a PDF, that was supposed to be the transcript of this, wasn't quite accurate. Now, it doesn't mean he didn't tell some untruths about the other part, but here's I think this is the one that has what he actually said, because there's a lot in between. I had the privilege of serving. I stood one night in the dark night on the tarmac. There was a bunch in between those two sentences, I think. This is the correct one? Here it is.
The years that happened after that classroom, I had the privilege of serving in this state's National Guard. And when I left, I had a 2-year-old. When I came home, I had a 3-year-old. But as I listened to Jill and I listened to Mariah, the guilt, I came home and my daughter went on. And when you're 2 and 3, she knew no difference. That's not true for some. They can't do that. And over the preceding years of watching us, and as our nation changed and as our political systems became more difficult for all of us to understand, I stood one night in the dark of night on the tarmac at Bagram and watched a military ramp ceremony.
So see how much is in between there. The transcript's not correct. So I'm not necessarily giving a pass on it, but I'm also not saying, oh, we got him. Also, the fact that he did go on a delegation to Iraq and Afghanistan, and here it is. Walz visits war zones to study veteran care system. Representative Tim Walz has returned from a fact-finding trip to Iraq and Afghanistan that focused on the medical care for soldiers as they move from injury to the battlefield back to medical hospitals and eventually to VA's facility. He traveled to the Veterans Affairs Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigation, returning late Tuesday. So he may again have misspoke. Because the transcript makes it sound like he did that as a National Guard person, but he may actually have seen one of these ceremonies. So I'm not sure. Again, whether he did or not, there's a lot of policy issues that should be focused on. If you look at what's been passed in Minnesota under this man, he's insane. Every progressive, left-wing loony fucking wish list item they pass in Minnesota by one vote because they have a one-vote majority in one of the houses. And they've passed some doozies, let me tell you. And then again, they took an $18 billion surplus, and now they're asking for $8 billion in new taxes. So, meaning they spent every dime of it and want $8 billion more. So, fuck this guy. And someone asked on X, how could you not like this man? I said, because he's my governor. Okay, that's why how I can not like him. So let's keep going. Good morning, Anon. 1, 2, 3. Ha 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 ha. Welcome to the show. So anyway, also a couple of things trending in politics. Vice President Harris has suddenly announced or adopts a no tax on tip policy that apparently she heard Donald Trump and thought, no, that's a good idea. Look, I don't care if she agrees with Donald Trump. I think she should say that, though, instead of trying to pretend it was her idea. Kamala Harris announced her support for a policy to eliminate federal taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers, a proposal initially introduced by former President Donald Trump. This announcement has sparked a debate among political commentators and social media users, with some accusing Harris of plagiarizing Trump's idea. Critics also pointed out that Harris had previously voted for legislation that increased IRS scrutiny on workers' tips. Oh, well, I didn't catch that part. Oh, so she wanted more scrutiny on tips so they could tax them more, and now she's proposing no tax on tips. Oh, I see. Supporters of the policy argue that it would benefit workers in the service industry, while opponents question Harris' sincerity and ability to implement the policy effectively. So we got the normal people, Charlie Kirk, and Nancy Mace just roasted Harris for ripping off Trump's no tax on tips. Let's watch Nancy Mace rip on Kamala Harris. I always say her name right. You notice that? I always say her name right. I will not be accused of being racist against a half black, half Indian woman, since I am half Nigerian and half Irish. I will not be racist towards the what's she? Jamaican and Indian or whatever. Call center Indian, not casino Indian. All right, here's Nancy Mace ripping on Kamala Harris.
Well, one article that I saw today about this letter suggested that, the Customs and Border Patrol was sort of outside her purview in that job that Joe Biden gave her. So the sanitizing, if that's what it is, continues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And this is very disingenuous to the American people. They deserve the truth. This is a woman who doesn't support voter ID, that supports these millions of illegals coming across the border, who wants amnesty no matter what she says. And now, look, as you just mentioned earlier in the program, she's stealing Donald Trump's ideas. This was the woman, the vice president, who had the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which didn't support tax cuts for taxes on workers in the hospitality industry. And so I would guess if we're going to look at policies for Kamala Harris, we should look at Donald Trump's website first, because I imagine she's probably going to steal more of his ideas.
Oh, because snap!
Well, one article that I saw.
Snap! Ooh, that was amazing. Whatever. Also, the family of Isaac Hayes. Isaac Saves. Who is the man who tells you on your brother, man? Chef, you're damn right. Isaac Hayes' family is suing the Donald Trump campaign. Harris is part Irish. The rest is Indian. Well, no, she has some motherland peoples in her too. And I'm not talking about Willie Brown. No, her father's side is a mix of many different nationalities and whatever. So he he is part Irish. And let's put it this way. Only one of these two presidential candidates is a descendant of slave owners. And it is not Donald Trump. So there you go. The family of the late musician Isaac Hayes has filed a lawsuit against former President Donald Trump for unauthorized use of the song "Hold On, I'm Coming" at his rallies. The lawsuit claims Trump used the song 134 times without permission and seeks $3 million in licensing fees. The family's lawyer alleges that the Trump campaign willfully engaged in copyright infringement despite being asked to stop. This legal action follows a similar incident involving Celine Dion's song "My Heart Will Go On" at a Trump rally. The lawsuit has sparked discussions about Trump's respect for copyright laws and the rights of artists. Now, I always call bullshit on these types of activities from artists who do not want Donald Trump and their families do not want Donald Trump to use their music. Why do I do this? Because there are several reasons. One, I am pretty sure that the campaigns will buy BMI and other rights from the rights aggregators for music, and usually when you buy one of those rights policies or whatever you call it, it covers most of the music that you would hear anywhere in the world. Okay. And so I'm going to guess that they did have licensing to use that music. I'm sure most of the venues also have licensing to use that music. And so it's not a matter of the artist giving them permission. If the artist sold their rights to, say, BMI, which is a kind of a clearinghouse for copyrighted music, then they can use it whether the artist says so or not. They can tell the artist just to fuck right off. So I'm certainly concerned. Now, all the accounts that shill for against Donald Trump or whatever, Democrats, are all just up in arms. They're just, oh my God, they're suing Donald Trump for $3 million, blah, 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 blah. Roland Martin, breaking news. Lawyers for the Isaac Hayes estate have slapped Donald Trump with a lawsuit demanding he stop the unauthorized use of all his music at his rallies. They're demanding $3 million for past use. So all these guys are all at the same time are jumping on this. Oh, they're suing Donald Trump. Gee, get in line to sue Donald Trump. Now I am interested though. I'm interested in finding out what licenses Donald Trump's campaign has for music at his rallies. And I know, for example, most arenas, if you're doing a rally in an arena, the arena has the rights to the music because they pay those licensing fees. Now, Chuck Callisto, who's more of a Trump guy, also is writing about this. Hayes family sues Trump campaign for 134 counts of copyright infringement. He spelled copyright wrong. For using the song Hold On, I'm Coming at campaign rallies. We, the family of Isaac Hayes Enterprises, represented by Walker & Associates, are suing Donald Trump and his campaign for 134 counts of copyright infringement for the unauthorized use of the song Hold On, I'm Coming at campaign rallies from 2022 to 2024. Why are they waiting till now? Well, maybe they're just tired of asking. We demand the cessation of use, removal of all related videos, a public disclaimer, and payment of $3 million in license fees by August 16, 2024. So that's in 4 days. Failure to comply will result in further legal action. So they're asking for $22,000 per play, apparently. Didn't know music licensing played so well. I'm confused. I'm really confused. The song's on YouTube, Rumble, all kinds of places, like it's in the public domain. I don't think it's public domain. I don't know how old music has to be in the public domain. I'm pretty sure it's longer than 50 years. That particular song I think is from, I want to say 1966 maybe. I'm not sure. But I gotta think again. Do they have licensing laws? Do they have a licensing contract with any of the big music licensing places that might cover that song? And as I scroll through here, it doesn't look like anyone has asked about that. Oh, this asks to pay $150,000 for every time he uses Isaac Hayes' song. I just tell him no. Let's see, what year was this song come out? I want to find out if anyone's mentioned that too. A lot of people are talking about it though. So that's interesting. We'll see how that goes. It's kind of funny to me. You'd think they'd have something going on. Hello, Ravon Harris. What's up? All right. Moving on here. What's the next one here? Oh, by the way, Donald Trump is back on X, apparently. He's back is trending. Now, someone says he's returning to X, the app formerly known as Twitter, which is a big deal. Well, here's why he's returning to X, and it may only be temporary. Because Elon Musk is about to interview Donald Trump. Oh, that's tonight? Holy shit, that's tonight. So anyway, Elon Musk is going to interview Donald Trump at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. And they're not doing it on Elon Musk's account. They're doing it on Donald Trump's X account, which was reactivated a couple years ago. And so people are saying he's back. Now, it's interesting because I keep seeing this particular tweet. Where the hell is it? Right here. I keep seeing this. They keep referencing this tweet here. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They're not coming after me. They're coming after you. I just happen to be standing in their way. I'm never moving. We will make America great again. Okay, so this is the first tweet, X or post, whatever. And I'm curious because when I click on his X account, at least this morning when I did it, it's not here. It still shows the last tweet Donald Trump tweeted before he got kicked off, except for this one from August 24, 2023, showing the mugshot. But this is it, January 8, 2021. And in fact, the tweet where he told people on January 6, 2021, I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. This is the tweet that X apparently made. Well, they took his countdown after he tweeted this. And this is the tweet that the goofy guy with the horn, James Chansley, or whatever his name is, Jason Chansley, whatever, the guy, the QAnon, what do they call him? QAnon something. Anyway, that dude. This is the tweet that he read to people in the crowd. QAnon shaman. Thank you. So, and again, before that, he also tweeted, please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. So they're saying he didn't do anything, and that's how he was communicating to them. And everything before that was the rally where he, everything else before that was the rally, okay? So he was telling people to be peaceful. He had no other way to communicate with them. It's not like they were on a military radio system where you could tell them, okay, go, charge over here and go through there and whatnot and fall back. He didn't have any communications with the people out there on January 6th. But he tweeted, and then they took his Twitter down, so he could not communicate with them at all. So that's fascinating. But I still don't see the tweet, supposedly, that he made on August 12th this morning at 2 a.m. And so anyway, but people are celebrating Donald Trump coming back to Twitter. And again, he'll be on with Elon Musk tonight. What time was that again? That is at 8 p.m. Eastern time, so 7 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Mountain, 5 o'clock Pacific time. Elon Musk is set to interview former President Donald Trump on the social media platform X at 8 p.m. Eastern time. The event is anticipated to draw significant attention from X users globally, with many expressing excitement and curiosity about the topics that might be discussed. Some users speculate about the potential conversations regarding Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. The interview is described as unscripted and without limits, adding to the anticipation surrounding the event. Now, if I were an advisor to Donald John Trump, what do you think I would tell him? Well, let me tell you. By the way, good morning, Patio Furniture, Rayvon Harris, and Select the Boy.
Yeah, boy.
I would tell him to stop talking about stupid shit. Don't give a shit about crowd sizes. Don't give a shit if he thinks Kamala Harris is cheating or the idea that Joe Biden dropping out may be a legitimate topic, but spend very little time on that. Talk about policy, and more policy. And the fact that Kamala Harris is a left-wing lunatic. That, look, she, in fact, he should be saying, you know what? Yeah, she's drawing great crowds. I'm sure it's refreshing not to have someone who's sundowning on the top of your ticket. She's going to have a honeymoon period, so to speak. But what we need to focus on is who Kamala Harris is and what kind of policies can you expect from Kamala Harris. I think you can expect, if all you got to do is look at where she's from. She is representing California from San Francisco. Remember the shithole that San Francisco is. Remember, Gavin Newsom has had to clean up the homeless problem in San Francisco right now just so you wouldn't have to look at what Kamala Harris's home is like. She is a California liberal. Look at some of the things they've passed in California. In fact, her running mate, Tim Walz of Minnesota, has spent his whole time trying to emulate California. And it's some wacky doodle shit. Let's talk about a few of those things. And let's contrast where I am on some of those issues. And that's what he should be talking about. If they mention Tim Walz's service, I didn't serve. I'm not going to waste time on that. That's not important. Let JD talk about that. Let other military people talk about that. That's important to them. I won my primaries. Kamala Harris never had a vote. Just stay on policy. What's wrong, Lord Stanhope? By the way, good morning, Lord Stanhope. How long does copyright last? It's not in perpetuity. Last time I checked, it was 40 years. If it's 40 years, then that song, does anyone know the answer to that? Paperwork copyright is 40 years. I'm not sure how long it is on music. I thought it was 100 years on music, too. I'm not 100%, though. I tell Trump to get rid of those campaign advisors under him. Yeah, some of them. But he's also got to be disciplined. This whole thing, I know I'm playing into the hands of the dickwads who are shills for the Democrats and the Harris campaign. But I think he has lost a little bit of composure on this. Not that he wasn't always Donald Trump. He's Donald Trump. He's going to be insult people, whatever. And that's part of the style that I don't like, but some people like that. But all you have to do is talk about her record as the most liberal senator. Look, and also, it's so funny listening to Kamala Harris talk about, let's get me off the screen. This off the screen. It's so funny listening to Kamala Harris talk about things like, well, I know how to fix immigration and we're going to fix it. And I know that inflation and the prices are high and blah, 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 and we know how to fix it. Hey, Kamala, you do realize that you're in the White House right now, right? You're with Joe Biden. It's the Biden-Harris presidency, right? You keep saying that. Did you mention any of these ideas you had for fixing these things that your administration fucked up? Because you are in the administration right now. Why haven't you fixed these things if you know how to fix them? Did you make any suggestions to the sundowner in chief? Weird that the people in power, you're complaining about all these things and things that are all so terrible and you know how to fix them, and yet you're in power right now. How about what's stopping you from fixing them? Why did you wait 3.5 years before you did anything about immigration? Because that bill you passed was just a way to process illegal aliens faster. That wasn't a tough border bill. That got you more resources to process them faster so they could come in and be here on a temporary status faster. No, that's not what we wanted. It's amazing. It's amazing. So anyway, there are different rules for works before and after 1970. Okay, thank you for letting me know that. Yeah, so I that's hilarious. Anyway, so Donald Trump's interview may be on X tonight. I may or may not live stream that. I don't know. We'll see what happens if I can. I got a lot of work to do. I got to make some money, so I got to fix furniture because we're having issues. So anyway, that's that. And let's see, is that it? That's all the trending topics today. All right. Now, we mentioned earlier, I got a few articles, so I'll go through some of these. We'll go through a couple, and then we'll also, I have a whole bunch in the links today. We're not going to get to all of them, obviously. So this is interesting. Apparently, on MSNBC, you know how Kamala Harris isn't doing interviews, won't very rarely takes questions, although she did take some questions the other day after the rally in Arizona, but it was like 3 questions and they were all fairly softball. Well, the people at MSNBC who are paid to protect Kamala Harris and any Democrat are saying that the media is whining that Kamala Harris won't talk to them. Isn't that an interesting way to put it? The media is whining. Is it Michael Steele? Yeah, here's Michael Steele. Let's see, this is the whole thing.
What has struck me since Donald Trump's press conference is sort of the highbrow nature of the press coming at Kamala Harris, saying, well, she, in my view, whining that she doesn't talk to us. She hasn't done a sit down with us. She hasn't done interviews with us. And I watched that press conference and I go, well, when you start actually asking real questions of Donald Trump and pressing him, then that sort of creates a space of balance. But then I look at polling. You have the New York Times Siena poll showing Harris versus Trump in battleground states. Michigan, she's up by 4, 50-46. Pennsylvania, up by 4, 50-46. And in Wisconsin, up by 4, 50-46. All of that's within the margin of error. So at one point you say strategically, why do I need to talk to you right now?
Do you think, Michael, that this little honeymoon period is going to last? The longer she doesn't talk to the press? Is that what? And aren't you former Republican Michael Steele, former Republican National Committee chairman? It's embarrassing. So strategically, 90 days or whatever before the election, she shouldn't talk to the press because she's winning that way, kind of how Joe Biden did it when he ran in 2020. That seems like a strategy. They don't have to do interviews because maybe they already know they got it in the bag somehow. I'll just shy away from that topic.
Now, I'm talking to the American people, and we're having a conversation. You're happy to follow it. And
but you're not even telling the American people what you're doing other than, we will not go back. No, what do you mean not go back? Go back to lower inflation and lower gas prices and less illegal immigration? We will not go back? There's a lot I would like to go back to. Even though I'm not a Donald Trump fan, but I'll tell you what. I'm cast my second vote for Donald Trump, even if he is a jackass. Because we're not doing this shit that y'all do in California and in my state. I don't want those policies they did in my state nationwide. They're nuts.
And to report on it.
Look, you think inflation's bad now. Let's say you get an entire let's say Democrat win the House, keep the Senate, you get Kamala Harris. Tim Walz has this thing about, you don't save your political capital. You use all of it as fast as you can. So they're going to pass some crazy shit. They'll probably stack the Supreme Court. They'll go nuts like they did here in Minnesota, like they do in California with one-party rule. And again, Minnesota went from an $18 billion surplus to raising taxes by $8 billion. $18 billion surplus to spending it all and raising taxes by $18 billion over a period of time. California, major deficit problem. And we don't look, do you think we have enough debt in this country right now? Because it's not slowing down at all. And I don't even know if Donald Trump will do it. That's the problem. There are no fiscal conservatives, it seems like. But I tell you what, I know that one of the talks I think Elon Musk wants to talk about with Donald Trump is efficiency in government, because there's so much waste. I mean, you give billions of dollars to all these programs and you don't even know where the money goes. But you keep giving it, and you keep giving it to Ukraine, and you don't even know where the money goes. And you keep giving money to other foreign governments, you don't even know where the money goes. But guess what? The more money you give out, it means that's the more you're printing, and that's the more you're devaluing our currency. It's insane. It's insane. I mean, I don't like the direction we're going. My time on this earth is limited, but I worry about my kids and my grandkids. my time's winding down. I might have 12, maybe between 12 and 20 years. You know, who knows if I'll live to 80. But gosh, these people are insane. And the idea that Michael Steele thinks, well, it's helping you politically right now to hide. How long will that last? Apparently she's supposed to put a policy position out by the end of the month and maybe do an interview at the end of the month, maybe early next month. I wonder how long she can hide. See, Joe Biden could get away with hiding because of COVID. He could just, everyone, he could get away with it. They could blame COVID for him hiding. They can't do that with Kamala Harris. I don't know if this is going to keep going. Unless Donald Trump keeps talking about stupid shit, and then he makes, which is tough because he has a habit of saying some stupid shit. But the way he governed, the way he tried to push policy, despite him being a bloviator, worked and works for me. And I agree with his policy that he actually tries to push. And so it's hard to get that. It's hard to get that out to people who are so excited that, this younger woman, is out there and they want their first black woman to be president. Oh my God. I'm sure Hillary Clinton's thrilled. So anyway, what does he say?
How do you think the campaign balances going forward? She's going to sit down at some point.
At some point.
But right now, is there a real need for her to sort of, get the imprimatur of the press on her?
I don't care. Anyway, so yeah, the idea that, the media's whining that she won't talk to them. Oh, really? Isn't that kind of part of the job? If you want to be part of that job, you're going to have to answer the press too. You need to answer to the people who you might end up governing. Holy shit. In legal insurrection, media parrots Harris campaign ridiculous claim that it's all about joy. Yes, they're painting again. They're going to paint Kamala Harris's campaign as the happy warriors and always happy and joy, whatever. And it's relentless. So you got an Axios, Harris-Trump, America's mood swing election. New York Times, Harris used to worry about laughing. Now joy is fueling her campaign. It's a strategy because she laughs like a hyena about stupid shit. Even the Washington Examiner, joy is fueling her campaign. You bet it is. No less vigor than Wallace himself declared that Harris emanates the joy. MSNBC went along to declare that Harris and Wallace campaign with joy. The Washington Post reported that the two Democrats have seized on a joyful message. The New York Times announced Harris and Wallace are running a joyful campaign. So they're all on the joy train, and I don't mean like Joy Reid. Oh no, a terrible thought just went in my head. Never mind. Stop, please. Think of something else quickly. Breitbart though. Here's the montage of joy, by the way. Ignore the dismal economy and ignore the open borders. Ignore crime in your city. Just think of joy when you think of Kamala. Could it be any more obvious? Here's the montage.
Thank you for bringing back the joy. She does it all with a sense of joy. Compassionate, careful, joyous leader.
And yesterday, what you saw is joy.
And it was the power of joy.
You know what I love more than anything?
So we went from, weird to joy. Now that they got joy talking point. And I'm sure the campaign sends out these talking points and the media just goes right along.
The joy. You can't underestimate the power of joy in this campaign. Don't underestimate the joy factor of this. They're going to bring the joy.
That's because she can't stop laughing. Hey, how are we going to use this? Oh, let's just make her a joyful campaign.
We're also just feeling relieved and telling me about how happy they were to see some joy back in the party.
And we saw last night was
as opposed to sundowning Joe. They're happy it's not Joe.
This joy and this positivity. You have this happy, joyful, positive.
Lord Stanhope, you can die a painful and eventful death. The Joy Behar train, ew.
Ticket.
The most remarkable demonstration of support, enthusiasm, joy.
This idea of joy.
Joy.
Being joyful is part of the American identity.
There is joy in the future. There is joy in having your boss be a black woman. There is joy in...
The fuck did he just say? What the actual...
what is coming.
What we're hearing
In the future. There is joy in having your boss be a black woman. There is joy in what is coming.
What we're hearing from this vice president, future president.
I don't know. There is joy in having your boss be a black woman. Really, ask Kamala Harris's staff if there is joy in having your boss being this particular black woman. I bet they would beg to differ.
President is a message of freedom and joy.
I just love that we have this new joy. You could see it just so filled with the joy of the work.
The fact that we saw that exuberance last night,
they've all been told to use the word joy, and they are making sure they do it. This is embarrassing.
One is hope and joy, and the other is fear and anger.
Oh, you could really see joy and exuberance versus grievance and retribution.
People are tired of fear and anger, and so they're going to give to them the hope.
Except all they do is talk about why you should fear Donald Trump. That's all they do, and it's so funny because they contradict what they say because they won't feature the things they say. It's crazy. Hang on.
Open the joy.
Okay, so anyway. National Pulse, Richard Dawkins says that Facebook deleted his entire page for calling a male Olympic boxer male. Now, you know, the story on this Algerian boxer, who they found had XY chromosomes, according to a certain boxing association, versus the person was born with visually female parts, and so this person grew up as a woman, very much like Caster Simonia or whatever her name is. And then they realized in her adult life that physiologically, or at least chromosomally, she's male, XY. And so that's a tough one. You can't blame the person who grew up thinking they were a woman. And then they find out they have XY chromosomes. But Richard Dawkins apparently didn't say this on Facebook. Apparently he said something about her being male on X, and they deleted his Facebook page. So that's really fucked up. Facebook, he didn't break any of your rules, but he says they deleted his entire page because of it. Scientist and author Richard Dawkins announced that Facebook deleted his account after he posted on a different platform that Algerian boxer Iman Khalaf, who has XY chromosomes, should not compete against women in the Olympics. He believes the account deletion is a form of censorship. Oh, you think? You think? Especially he didn't say it on that platform. In Breitbart, Kamala Harris copies Trump's no taxes on tips campaign promise. We've already talked about that, but there's a little more detail here. It's funny too, because even they had I think one of the X account, that the Kamala something war room or something, whatever they call it, made it sound like it's a brand new idea. Trump's been talking about this for a while. In fact, here's the Trump war room. Kamala just announced she's stealing President Trump's no tax on tips proposal. But like everything else she says, it's pure political calculation she'll never actually do. Again, this is the one who wanted to crack down on tipped employees during her time in the Senate. She wanted to crack down on tips employees so that she could collect more taxes from them. Because, tipped employees often get paid in cash tips. And so, they might accidentally not claim them all on their little form at the end of the night. And then, they might. And so Kamala Harris wanted to crack down on that. Now, all of a sudden, she wants no taxes on tips. Wow, that's amazing. In the Daily Caller, Harris campaign says Kamala has changed, but will she bring California's climate agenda to the White House? Well, of course she will. She is all in on everything that is climate alarmism. And look, it's not even the climate change part. She just wants to find new ways to tax your ass. Vice President Kamala Harris is signaling to the public that her views on energy issues have moderated, but policy experts and pundits who spoke with the Daily Caller News Foundation remain unconvinced that her evolution is genuine. She's a San Francisco liberal. She has praised Gavin Newsom more than once on this topic, and I don't believe her for a second. You do not want all three the House, Senate, and presidency all to be Democrats. I guarantee you, because I tell you what, you think the deficit's bad now. And in fact, in the New York Post says we're wasting $2 trillion a year chasing the green fantasies. Despite much hype, the much vaunted green energy transition away from fossil fuels is not happening. But we're being taxed and the government's spending on it, I'll tell you that. Achieving a meaningful shift with current policies turns out to be unaffordable. We need to drastically change policy direction. Well, if Kamala Harris is president, we're going to continue. She was this. Let's just put it this way. She was the Senate sponsor for the Green New Deal. Do you think she's changed her mind about the Green New Deal? Do you think for 1 second, say it in the chat, if Kamala Harris has changed her mind on the Green New Deal, type green in the chat. If you think Kamala Harris has the same views as far as a Green New Deal, aka the Inflation Reduction Act, put a big F in the chat. Okay, there you go. Daily Wire. Iran hacked Trump campaign supposedly, except I think the CIA did it. And they've obtained a file on J.D. Vance, according to a Trump official. The Islamic Republic of Iran, the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, has reportedly hacked Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump's campaign. Now, I don't believe it. Now, by the way, all the lefty shills on X and other social media are loving this because they're comparing it to when the DNC and Hillary Clinton got hacked. Inside job. Politico began receiving internal email or campaign documents from the campaign late last month from an anonymous AOL email account that uses the name Robert. The emails contain internal communications from top Trump campaign official that included research the campaign did on J.D. Vance and potential vulnerabilities that he may have. The research dossier was a preliminary version of the file that the campaign used to vet Vance, something that is standard practice in presidential campaigns. When the publication asked the anonymous account how they received the documents, they responded, "I suggest you don't be curious about where I got them from. Any answer to this question will compromise me and also legally restricts you from publishing them." Microsoft published a report this week that confirmed that Iran was interfering in U.S. elections. Oh, how convenient. Yes, I'm sure that's all it was. CIA, FBI. I don't believe any of these things are external, including the pew-pew attempt on the president's ear. Oh, wait, the pew-pew success on the president's ear, the reshaping of his whatever this is part of your ear is called. So they're claiming that Iran did it. I don't believe that. I believe that, see, when it's against Republicans, they'll blame it on a foreign country. Now, of course, they did it with Democrats too. They blamed it on Russia, right? Except there's a guy in D.C. who kind of got mugged and maybe ended that had a certain laptop that went missing that the FBI found. But we never heard much about it since. His name rhymes with Beth Snitch. In the Washington Free Beacon, apparently an embattled Democratic Representative Susan Wild smears conservative constituents in private while publicly embracing moderate views. I might have to school them a little bit. She's a Democratic Pennsylvania congresswoman in one of the country's tightest House races. She's privately and repeatedly trashed working-class conservative voters in her district as bigots who drank the Trump Kool-Aid. Yes, that'll get you more votes. But in public, the Pennsylvania Democrat has drastically moderated her positions on hot-button issues as she seeks re-election in her battleground district. Earlier this year, Wild was caught in a private conference call saying she was dismayed that her eastern Pennsylvania district was redrawn in 2022 to include Carbon County, which she lamented had transformed from a working-class blue district to a red county. And on her personal Facebook page this year, Wild smeared a military veteran constituent, suggesting the man was homophobic because he refused to shake her hand at a Memorial Day event. Oh, is she gay? I don't know. These were not the first time she was caught lamenting new constituents she viewed as backward and uneducated. So she rips on the people that she wants to vote for, and now it's coming out, and maybe, just maybe, the race that is currently tight may be loosening the other way. Who knows? In Breitbart, J.D. Vance says Walz lied about military career, used dishonesty for political gain. Again, they're talking about the interview with Dana Bash. You can check that out. American Greatness, The Theater of the Absurd, the Walz edition. This is by Roger Kimball, just talking about... remember I went through that list of reasons why perhaps J.D. Walz calling somebody else weird probably is a stretch and maybe some projection, because look, the good old boy coach, father, teacher routine that Walz has given you has nothing to do with how he governs, and he's governed pushing a lot of weird shit. And so I think this will confirm that a little bit. PJ Media, disastrous rollout of Tim Walz ends with a humiliating admission by Harris campaign. Now, I don't see... Now, this is the kind of headline that kind of annoys me, because his rollout has not been disastrous at all. And in fact, it has obviously energized a lot of Democrats, and they don't care. Now, I think the humiliating admission is the fact that he's had to admit that that he's misspoke, so to speak. So that's not good. But the media doesn't care either. They're still going to try to push a narrative that, well, you know, he served honorably and this doesn't matter. And, you know, it's just Republicans being Republicans. But there are more than one clip of him saying things that made it sound like, or at least made it seem like, he actually was serving over there in Afghanistan. And even if it's a transcript that wasn't quite transcribed properly, or, you know, words he said claiming that he used weapons of war in war that he never used in any war because he was never in any war. They're a little nuanced, and the media's going to spin in his favor, but it doesn't always work, especially with military people. But the idea that his rollout was disastrous, but this admission is humiliating, or that they've had to change his bio. Okay, that is probably a little bit humiliating, but you know what? See, when you stick on these kinds of topics, that shit gets glossed over. I'm sorry, did I say J.D. Walz? I meant Tim Walz. Sorry. I did mean, Tim Walz. The media will gloss over that, or they will continue to make that the topic instead of policy, policy, policy. Policy, policy, policy. Say that 50 times. All 3 times. Because they need to start talking about policy, because this Democratic ticket is a fucking disaster if you talk about policy. That's why we're avoiding it. She's pretending to be a moderate, and she is a San Francisco liberal. And Tim Walz has passed more California-like legislation than Midwest America type legislation. He may be a Midwestern guy who coached football and was a high school teacher and was in the National Guard, but his policies are pure California. That don't play well in the Midwest. In fact, it's not even playing that well in Minnesota. There's really serious questions about whether how Tim Walz was going to fare politically anymore in Minnesota. Breitbart, Biden on quitting. The Dem colleagues thought I was going to hurt them. Yeah, he did an interview where he said straight out that he quit because it was hurting other candidates, and that was more important for Democrats to have power than for him to be president. That's weird. I thought he was the best qualified person to be president. Also interesting in this, there's a clip of Nancy Pelosi, it's not here, where she almost admits that resignation letter that he put on X, she kind of almost admits that it probably wasn't written by him because it didn't sound like him and it wasn't his signature. Oh, wow. We didn't know that. I still want someone to ask him about that. I haven't listened to this interview, and I doubt if they asked him that, but I'm curious still. I'm still curious how this happened, how they got pushed out. Data caller, new poll shows Trump losing to Harris in key swing states. Yeah, some of the polls are going in Kamala's favor, Vice President Harris' favor, still within the margin of error. But could this be just honeymoon period, or is Donald Trump going to keep making mistakes, like focusing on shit that doesn't matter? Policy, policy, policy. Issues Insight also showing some polling. And they're talking about the Democratic Party's mess will be hard to clean up by pushing Vice President Kamala Harris forward as the official candidate and deep sixing President Joe Biden's campaign. It created a political mess. It's the party's fault for lying about Biden's obvious mental decline. That's the part I want to hear about too. Okay, Vice President Harris, why were we hiding Joe Biden's issues for so long? Because we saw them when he got into office, that he was having this mental lapse problem. And you hid it all this time. I want to hear someone get serious about that. Also, the trash binning of Josh Shapiro as the vice presidential candidate. Like, everyone knows that it was supposed to be Josh Shapiro, and then, oh boy, when demonstrators started calling him a Nazi, they turned course and got the most liberal guy they could find. Holy shit. Nobody cares about policy. To care means you understand. I know. Marty, are you serious? How are they talking policy when they don't have any? At least not any sane or feasible ones. Oh, they're going to come out with some. Do the Republicans have policies? We can talk about their, again, and I don't mean necessarily policy that they're going for, but I'd like to surely highlight the policies that they have implemented, particularly in Minnesota, because obviously Harris must think they're a good idea. I'd like to ask her about certain policies we passed in Minnesota and say, do you think that's appropriate for the national level? Now, I bet she says it is. Look, they talk about freedom. And remember, Tim Walz has that famous line in his stump speech that he tells everywhere about, the golden rule, mind your own business. Really, Tim? Okay, Tim and Vice President Harris. Is it your business how parents raise their children? Like, if their children are young and, do you think that they should be able to go to another state and get medicalization for trans, trans type shit? Do you think that's minding? You think parents having a say in what happens with their children? Do you think that maybe you can mind your own fucking business? Because that's not the state's business. That's not the state's business. Parents and their minor children are parents' business, not the state's business. Okay? You say mind your own business? Shit. All right. And then we got, let's do headlines. Again, J.D. Vance lied about military career. That's the Dana Bash interview in American Greatness. The theater. Oh, I did this one. Theater of the Absurd Walz edition. This is talking about border policies that Walz tried to make Minnesota a sanctuary state too. PGBD. Oh, I've passed these. Here we go. Saw that already. All right, already. Here we go. 6 key indicators expose Kamala Walz's campaign as fake, phony, and fraudulent. Stolen military valor. AI rally imagery. I don't know about the AI rally imagery. They need to get off that subject too. I don't necessarily say that it is AI rally imagery. Maybe it is, maybe you're not. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Again, we got to hit them on who they are and what has been, because what has been is contrasting greatly with what they are saying will be. There's a big contrast of what has been to what they're saying will be, and we don't want to find out what will be. Pseudo rallies, don't care. Pseudo rally, sticking to the script. It's very scripted. and it's Doug Emhoff, Tim Watley from Seinfeld. Those are dumb issues, but you can read it. Daily Caller, third-party candidates undermine Biden among disaffected Dems, but Harris is a different story. Yeah, the third-party candidates aren't affecting Kamala Harris as much as they are Joe Biden. That's why we got to get on the stick. Breitbart, President Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and the Clintons are going to speak in the Democratic National Convention. Legal insurrection, King Charles. Oh, there's some stuff on Britain too in here. I'm gonna end with that. So check out the articles today. Real quick, thank you. Midnight in Exile's in the house. Nice to see you, homie. They mean you mind your own business, not they mind their own business. Rules are never meant to apply to them. They are better than us. Yes, they are. I know that. Thank you, Midnight in Exile. And the only sponsor today on the Morning Night Live. We appreciate you, but I appreciate everyone else who does it quite often. And you're great folks. All right, guys, I got to go. So I'll be back tomorrow with the same... in the same channel, but with some different stuff, because we'll probably talk about Donald Trump's interview with Elon Musk. I hope Elon Musk reins him in and gets him to talk about some things that are not the same old shit. I don't want to talk about crowd size. I don't want to talk about AI and the rallies. I want to ask him about, look, Elon Musk is interested in the so-called woke shit. I want to have Donald Trump talk about that a little bit. We'll see what happens, but I'm pretty sure that'll get a large audience. That's it. I got to go, guys. Thanks for joining me on the Morning Night Live. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time, same bad channel. Please share the stream, hit the like button, and if you choose, donate. Got some things to pay for that that have come up, so that would help a great deal. You all have a wonderful day. My name is P-Dog Knight, and I am out of here. Bye. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.